Hey guys, it is Justice from the Newbury Report, and I did want to talk here really quickly before we get into the subject, which is obviously the Patriots 2017 season, a complete overview of it. So that is that. We're going to go over the kind of major parts of the season. We're not going to go over, certain things to where it's like, in this game, Brady had this many yards kind of thing, because I think it is more than clear that Brady did not regress at all this year. In fact, he did better than he did last year, although it's kind of hard to say because he was missing 4 games last year, so that's a little tough to say. But anyways, we are going to talk about something that's going on other podcasts really quickly is we are working on getting this on iTunes and all their platforms, as well as I also wanted to say that we have contacted a graphic designer and we have a logo that is currently in the works. We got a logo, some banners, and we're working on a new intro just so that we can kind of get things a little bit more fresh and a little bit more professional looking. So for putting up with our podcast intro right now, I do give you credits for and thank you. We are also working on some really big things that we're looking forward to thinking about. If you want to follow our Twitter, we kind of do update it frequently on there. So check it out there. We did change the name of the podcast in the last week. I also wanted to say that I keep saying we, and some of you are probably like, there's only someone else talking, one person here talking who introduced himself. My co-host is actually injured right now. He pretty much broke his ankle while we were playing basketball. It is a really bad fracture. It was close to being broken. And, our friend whose name is Victor, he's really good at basketball. He's incredible. He's like a mixture of Kobe Bryant mixed with Michael Jordan mixed with Allen Iverson. It's really ridiculous, actually. Like, I feel like if he were to go into the league, LeBron James would say something along the lines of, shit, well, I'm not the king anymore now. I guess I'll be the prince. He crossed him up, and he actually wound up breaking his ankles. It's a true story, and if I had footage of it, I would submit it into this video, but I actually don't have any. So now that that is all said, thank you guys all for tuning in. I want to talk about this, and the next podcast with my co-host Ben will probably be along the lines of next week, and we'll probably be talking about the first round of playoffs in hockey, basketball, and we'll talk a little about baseball too, because, man, the Red Sox are on fire right now, and that's something that's really awesome. So let's get into it right now. I want to go over the Patriots draft because I feel like this has a really big impact on the entire season. If I can remember correctly, this was the smallest Patriots draft class in history. We had 4 picks this year, which isn't really a lot, and we would have had less, I believe, because we did give one away. We gave one away to the Saints, and that's how we got Brandon Cooks, but we did get another one from the Browns, and I believe we still had effects from Deflategate in this, if I'm not mistaken. I know we did it last year. So let's get into it. So our draft picks this year were, I believe this is in order. I didn't write this in order, but this is just kind of from memory. Derek Rivers was our first pick, and he was a defensive end. And then after that, I believe it was Antonio Garcia, who was an offensive tackle. And then we had Dietrich Wise. And then lastly, I'm pretty sure our last pick was actually Connor McDermott. Connor McDermott was a Bills player. Not a Bills player, He was also an offensive tackle, but he was competing behind Marcus Cannon and Nate Solder, which also with Antonio Garcia, it's kind of hard to say because he may have also been competing behind these two, and it would have been really hard to tell if he would have made the roster if he wasn't medically discharged, which we'll talk about in a second. So of these 4 picks that were drafted, obviously, we had a lot of undrafted picks. I mean, obviously the Hollister twins, but are they twins? I think they're brothers. I'm not actually sure if they're twins. I know we have one set of twins on the team, and so Connor McDermott was cut, and he was actually picked up by the Bills. And the Bills, I believe he's starting for the Bills now, or he might just be on their practice squad. But, so he's not really super relevant. Derek Rivers, who was a defensive end, who would have been majorly helpful this year, as this was a position we lacked a lot of depth in. He tore his ACL, I believe, in preseason practice training camp, or I believe it was a preseason game. I actually can't really remember. Because right back, back then, I was kind of like, our defensive end depth is fine, because I believe Ninko had not officially retired yet around this time, or maybe he had, but even then still, I was like, we got a lot of depth in this position, we'll be fine. I don't think it was until Ninko retired that people really started freaking out about this depth position, and it became very evident within the first few games that this position was something that we were lacking. Antonio Garcia, I remember picking him, and I really didn't think that much of him either because, our O-line seemed fine. I think our O-line really started showing patches of bad spots in that Texans game. It just seemed like Brady was taking way too many hits. I think it was like he was getting hit as much in the first few weeks as he had the entire year of last year, I believe, including the postseason, if I'm not mistaken. So Antonio Garcia was cleared, or medically discharged, for having blood clots in his lungs. And, obviously it caused him to lose a lot of weight. I've heard recently that he is only 13 pounds below that he was for the draft, so he is picking up weight and he is medically cleared to play, which is awesome. I'm really stoked and happy to see some more offensive line depth, as we do need that with the passing of Nate Solder and Cameron Fleming. Was Cameron Fleming the one we kept? Yes, Cameron Fleming was the one we kept. But with that said, Dietrich Wise Jr. was also another pick, and he is the only pick from this draft that was actually used in the whole season. And Dietrich Wise Jr. did have a major impact right off the bat. He is a really good stud, and I look forward to see how he does look in his sophomore year. So with that said, that was our draft class, and that is really evident into what it's going to go into the whole season. So secondly, adding on to this, we're going to go right into our free agency pickups. So we got Stephon Gilmore for the Buffalo Bills, and we signed into a mega contract. And I feel like, personally, I already sensed bad blood from this a little bit because, while Malcolm Butler might be like, oh, sweet, we got another stud to play with, this dude's been asking for a mega contract. I'm looking at this back how I looked at it back then, as I was like, man, like, dude, like this guy, he really wants a mega contract too. And, to be honest, Malcolm Butler regressed a lot in this season, like a lot. I mean, like he really regressed, and it was to the point to where I was kind of like, man, I'm really happy we didn't give him that mega contract. A lot of people say like Butler could have won us that Super Bowl. Like he regressed so much this last year that he might have been an impact. I mean, there's no saying that there could have been better, could have been worse. I mean, I heard that like Patrick Chung in his position, he would have been able to go back to his normal position. Things would have gone back in order, but it's kind of like you don't do well in practice, you don't take it seriously, and then for the biggest game on the planet, Malcolm Butler sitting here saying like, oh, it's the biggest game on the planet, he didn't let me play in the biggest stage. It's like, you should have taken the practice seriously before the biggest stage. I don't necessarily understand that whole idea. It's kind of like if you have a test and you needed to pass to graduate high school or college, etc., and you're just like, man, the teacher wouldn't let me graduate after being them for a whole year, after putting my whole, last year of my high school or college experience with them. It's like, maybe you should have studied a little harder. Maybe you should have tried a little harder. You were regressing all year. I do remember interviews of him saying stuff like, man, I haven't been trying my best. Like, this was an issue all year, but people are trying to act like it wasn't. It really was. So that said, I was going to say that to later, but it just kind of came up onto my mind right now. So we did pick up Stephon Gilmore from the Bills in order to replace Logan Ryan. I know we would have kept both of them. I mean, I'm kind of having this idea, because Logan Ryan, we pretty much paid the same amount that we would have paid Stephon Gilmore. I actually think we paid Stephon a little bit more, but Stephon Gilmore is a total fucking stud. That guy's incredible. We picked up Rex Burkhead, which is kind of the receiving back type of position that we do like to play, and I think he's all right at blocking. He was a little injured this year. I mean, did have some spots where he was injured, but he did play pretty well this year, and I'm happy that we did sign him to extension because I think that does help with that running back depth that we do so need. Especially losing Deion Lewis. We also got Brandon Cooks through a trade with the Saints. I believe we traded a late first-round pick for him. And, I know Malcolm Butler was in the midst of those trade talks as well. I mean, maybe the package would have included Malcolm Butler for Brandon Cooks, and we would have kept our first-rounder, could have used it on a cornerback or something like that. But I know that originally he was in talk of the trade talks as well as that. Coney Ely was also someone we picked up. He played for the Panthers, so he did have some really good highlights in the Super Bowl 50, obviously. And he was that is another thing. That's another thing really quickly right there, is he was a part of our defensive end depth, and I totally was like, oh yeah, we got Coney Ely. And I remember watching his highlights in the Super Bowl. Granted, that was like 2 seasons ago at the time. I was like, this guy's a stud. He's going to do really well for us. Belichick's going to bring him into his system. And, we also got Lawrence Guy. Lawrence Guy is a defensive tackle. I believe we got him from the Bills. I can't really remember. I do think he's still on our team. I do not pay much attention to him, to be completely honest with you. And we also got Dwayne Allen, who was supposed to kind of be a pickup for Marty B. Marty B was good at blocking and also has some good receiving chemistry with Brady, as we saw some receptions. He's the one who got us the pass interference call in Super Bowl 51, as you clearly all know. But, he definitely wasn't Gronk type at tight end. And the thing is, which is an issue, is we are so spoiled by Rob Gronkowski that when we get another tight end, we expect them, to be like that. I mean, obviously we don't always have that. But I think there were a lot of better options than Dwayne Allen. Dwayne Allen, I know a lot of people are like, Dwayne Allen's really good at blocking, though. Is Dwayne Allen worth being, what is he, like $4.5 or $6 million? That's what Edelman wanted. I mean, Amendola. Like, I know Amendola is getting older and he's kind of injury prone sometimes, but like, man, dude, like in a heartbeat, I'd much rather pay Amendola than pay fucking Dwayne Allen. I mean, like, now I guess it kind of makes a little bit more sense because he is good at blocking. And so, people might be saying, like, oh, with the absence of Nate Solder now, Dwayne Allen might be good to block and protect that side of Brady as Brady is getting older. And that is a positive to look at it, but I still think that he should take a massive pay cut and maybe take the vet minimum. I do not know what the vet minimum is. So if I said it already and I'm like, yeah. So we lost in free agency. We lost LeGarrette Blount, who was our running back, who I believe had 18 or 19 touchdowns that entire season, to the Eagles. And we also lost Chris Long, who was a defensive end, which cut into that depth to the Eagles. We also lost Michael Floyd, who was kind of a late pickup. I believe he had like 3 touchdowns for us, 2 or 3. Or maybe not. I think he maybe just had 1. He got 1 with Brady, and it was like really intense. Like, I remember looking at it, I was like, dude, this guy's fitting right in. Like, he was like pushing himself in, and like his helmet fell off, and he still went in. It was against the Dolphins. I think it was the last game of the season. And He also had that massive fucking block when he killed a man when he was blocking for Edelman. That was fucking incredible. But I mean, there were a lot of spots of low light for him especially when Brady threw him a pass in the divisional game against the Texans, and it kind of went like right off his hands and got picked off. And Brady was very pissed off at that game. So I bet he was just kind of like, oh, the chemistry's not there, kind of thing. I mean, you can't really expect him to have the chemistry, as he did get picked up so late in the season and didn't have that much time. But especially in the postseason, you're not going to just throw some guy out there who like, oh, he's hot and cold. Then we lost Jabal Sheard, and I believe his name is Marcus Mingo, which he was a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken. And Jabal Sheard was a defensive end. We lost them both to the Colts. Jabal Sheard did then cut into that massive defensive end depth that we did lose. Martelius Bennett, he was leaving before and free agency was even announced. He said himself, he's like, Super Bowl champions do get generally overpaid, so he went to the Packers, which was supposed to be a good fit for him, but it turned out he kind of got fucked there. And Logan Ryan obviously went to the Titans, as we did discuss that Stephon Gilmore was his backup. So that was that. That was the draft. That was our free agency pickups, and that was I was pretty stoked free agency. I was buying into the hype of going 18-0 or 19-0. I was really stoked about that. I thought we were going to go undefeated and win the Super Bowl again. I was like, why wouldn't we? So early on, injuries that piled up. Our season was riddled with injuries. We lost Edelman in the preseason. I mean, obviously, as well as, all the guys in the draft. We're just talking about the people who are already, bona fide stars. We lost Edelman in the preseason. We lost Shea McClellan. I think before even the preseason, he was having issues with concussions, as well as Malcolm Mitchell, who was a wide receiver. Shea McClellan was a linebacker. He is famously known for blocking a field goal in the Super Bowl that should have counted. He also blocked one in the Ravens game, and I think he may have blocked another one, but I do remember him blocking the one in the Ravens game, because that was fucking badass. I remember my friend as a Seahawks fan was like, dude, Patriots defense sucks. And like literally right after he sent me that text, he blocked that field goal, and we also got that safety that game as well, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, so we lost him, and we lost those guys. That sucked. And now there's two other guys on this list of season injuries that I've written down who I never really knew if they made a big impact, so I'm just going to kind of say their names now, not knowing too much about them. There was Keonta Davis, who was a defensive end, so that did help with that. That did, help pile into that deficit of depth we had there. And there was Chase Ferris, who was also an offensive tackle, who was kind of like a healthy scratch, it seemed. I'm not sure, again, why both these guys were on there, but I'm just looking at the whole injury report. So that's that. And we go into the season with this, and obviously, I didn't think our defense was an issue to begin with. And realistically, a lot of people are saying, they're like, oh, the Patriots defense was the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. Like the Eagles, like, okay, their defense 100%. Well, our defense was 100% the reason why we lost the Super Bowl. But if you look statistically at yards allowed and all that, the Eagles defense was worse that Super Bowl. One good fumble, one good interception does not win you a Super Bowl. I mean, how many interceptions did Brady throw in Super Bowl 49? Like, but which one counted? I mean, obviously that goes against what I just said, but like, it doesn't matter in a sense, like, like, oh, our defense was better, it allowed less yards. Like, and it matters like what plays you make, I guess, in a sense. Like that whole bend don't break thing. I mean, like, we were giving up so many yards to Josh McCown. Excuse me, I was, kind of stuttering there for a second. I was trying to figure out what I was trying to say with that. So just, don't listen to that back then. But again, anyways, I did not think that this defense was an issue in the beginning of the season. I remember watching that Chiefs game, and this is where I first saw the highlights of the greatest tight end to ever play the game for me to ever let my eyes witness, Dwayne fucking Allen. Dwayne fucking Allen missed a fucking wide open pass from Brady, and that still pisses me off because it was just like, oh, okay. We sometimes pick up players, and we always go back to Randy Moss, and we're always like, oh, Randy Moss was shit when we picked him up. Randy Moss is kind of the end of his rope. Maybe we'll Moss with him, and it's like everyone always expects that. This dude was dog shit. Like, I remember that wide open pass, and it's like, he is known for that. When we got him from the Colts, he was known to have that issue, and it's like, oh, there he is again. Notable trades that happened around this time as well was Jacoby Brissett was also traded for Philip Dorsett. And Philip Dorsett, I think, is a stud. I really think he is. I think with more time of learning the playbook, I mean, obviously, I would say he knew it pretty well, but like learning the playbook and also as well as getting some more chemistry with Brady. I think he's gonna have a better season. I mean, it can't get worse from last season, right? But I think he's pretty good. I mean, like, if I'm not mistaken, I remember reading somewhere that like his cone time or something like that was better than Brandon Cooks. Also, Riley McCarron, who we got from the Texans. He was a practice squad member, if I'm not mistaken. Riley McCarron has a better cone time and vertical, all that better than Amendola, and I believe he's like the same height. And yes, he has a white wide receiver, in case you care. But for some reason, people really care about that. I'm joking. I do know that a lot of our prolific and better wide receivers have been white, and that has always been the joke about the Patriots and stereotype. Anyways, we got Riley McCarron, and I've been excited about Riley McCarron. I remember, it was really fucking stupid. ESPN made this article, and it was like, is Riley McCarron the next Wes Welker? And it's like, he is almost the same height, and he wears the same number as Wes Welker. Okay. In that argument, in that, in that defense, Travis Kelce is the next Rob Gronkowski. If you buy him at the dollar store, because Travis Kelce is garbage. I cannot stand Travis Kelce. Speaking of the Chiefs game, I fucking hate Travis Kelce. Yeah, so in that first game, obviously Amendola and Hightower went out, and I'm not going to go over every single game just because, there's a lot of good, there's a lot of bad, but, there's a lot of issues that did go on throughout the season. Obviously, losing Donta Hightower in, I think, week 9 against the Falcons, that was a big issue. I'm going over all the injuries right now as well. We lost Nate Ebner just a little bit before that or after that. I can't remember when we played the Dolphins. We did lose him. He is a special teams. He is a gold Olympic medalist, I believe. Is he gold or is he bronze? I know he has I think he's bronze for rugby. He's a stud, dude. He's a fucking stud. And we lost Marcus Cannon, who's a good right tackle. I mean, I think his, rating in Super Bowl 51 is, the best. It was really good. It was really good. I'll post it in the description of this video, because I just can't remember it off the top of my head. We also lost Vincent Valentine, who was a star defensive tackle, pretty young guy, and we didn't really see him come back. I mean, I remember the argument going into the postseason was, it was like, we have one more spot to use our IR designated return from, and it was like, do we use it on Vincent Valentine or would we use it on Malcolm Mitchell? I think Vincent Valentine would have been a big pickup. I think our offense was fine in the Super Bowl, to be completely blunt. LeGarrette, blunt. But Vincent Valentine, I would have liked to see return. I feel like he would have been more pressure on that front seven as obviously we saw Branch, and Branch declined a lot last year too. But we also lost Cyrus Jones, I believe, in the preseason too. I forgot to mention that. Who the fuck is Cyrus Jones? The guy who fumbled in the Baltimore game? Yeah, I remember him. We lost Harvey Lange, who was a linebacker, and Harvey Lange was in a car accident, actually. Prayers to him and his family, and keep them in our thoughts, definitely. Especially now, maybe they're still kind of going through some stuff from it or whatever. Physical therapy needs to go through stuff. I'm pretty sure it's probably over by now, but whatever. Anything that happened from it. Hope that everyone in that accident was fine. But he was out because of that, and that was another hit to our defense. Let's see who else I have not covered. Oh, Jonathan Jones. We lost Jonathan Jones very late in the season. It was against the Jets. I remember I was in Australia watching that game. I was sitting in front of a bar that I had the Wi-Fi password to, and I was just sitting there and I was watching it. Shout out to all the Aussie Pats fans. What's up? And I was watching the game. Side note, I saw a lot of Rondo jerseys while I was there. I was really surprised. There was a lot of Rajon Rondo jerseys. And I remember the one guy I talked to, I was like, hey, go Celtics, baby. He was like, he's actually on the Bulls now. And I was like, he's actually on the Pelicans now. But I respect your jersey, so I'm not going to say that. I saw a lot of Rondo jerseys. I saw a lot of Porzingis jerseys. And I actually saw some Lillard jerseys. I was really surprised to see some Lillard jerseys, as I don't think Lillard is, obviously as popular as a lot of the really big American teams. I think the Knicks and the Celtics and the Bulls and the Lakers are the kind of big teams that people want jerseys for because, they're iconic. Like LA, New York, and then the Celtics. I think the Celtics logo is pretty fucking badass. Let's go Celtics, baby. Fuck the Bucks. Yeah, we lost Jonathan Jones, who's a really good cornerback, arguably better than Malcolm Butler this year. And we lost him to an injury against the Jets. I'm not entirely sure on the injury what it was, if I can remember properly, but he was done for the season then. And that sucked. He was also really good on special teams, so that is a big blow. That was a big blow that season. So those are our injuries. And, it's kind of like, with all these injuries put, it really did affect our depth. And was it is this what cost us the Super Bowl? No. Is bunching Malcolm Butler the cause for Super Bowl? And I want to talk about the Super Bowl just a little bit, as well as I want to talk about as much as I want to talk about the rumors of Brady and Belichick, I want to get over those done really quickly. Our defense. Our defense had a lot of highs and lows, as well as our offense. The lowest point of our offense, if I going to be blunt here, was the Monday night Miami game. I remember watching that, and I was so frustrated. I had to just keep walking away from the TV, and I was just like, man, dude, what the fuck is going on? Rob was out, obviously, for his hit on, I don't even remember who it was, on the Bills. But he was out for his hit on that, in which, by the way, I won't, I'm going to say this really quickly because it really pisses me off, is Boston players will do something relatively dirty. Like, Rob does that hit, and it's kind of like, is it, can we sit here and reason with it? No, we can't. He really could have hurt that player a lot more than he could have. I can't remember his name, and I do apologize for that. He really could have hurt that player a lot more than he did. But here's the reality of it. There are so many videos and clips of the league not having no calls on Gronk that should have been called. The one that I can remember is there's a Colts game. I can't remember exactly which game it was, but Rob is literally being held by two players, and he has his hands up the entire time, and there's no call on that. And that is an issue. It happens all the time to Gronkowski, and just because it's, it's kind of like, I get picked on all the time, so I shot this kid. Like, no, it doesn't have to escalate to that. But the point is it's kind of like, if you continue to like bullshit on the rules on somebody, it's going to fucking piss somebody off after a while. Did he deserve to do that? Should he have, thrown himself into that guy the way he should have? Absolutely not. I think a 1-game suspension was well deserved for that. I'm more than happy it was not 2, as we really did use him well in that Steelers game. But I'm really happy that he was fine. I'm really happy that everything worked out. The guy wasn't too hurt or anything. It was, it did work out well in both cases for us. And the fact that, Rob did get his 1-game suspension and kind of, got that, like, don't do that again, Rob. And then at the same time as well, he was accurately punished for what he did, in my opinion. And then, the guy's fine. So that's all good. But, it's like, you see some plays like, John Morrissey, and he plays for the Winnipeg Jets. I forgot who he hit, but he hit one of our guys really, 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 I think it was Matt Grzelcyk or Jake DeBrusk on the Bruins. He hit some guy really fucking hard with 2 seconds left in the game. This was a team that already clinched their playoff spot as well as we had. So it's kind of like, to hit this guy that hard was really fucking uncalled for. It's like division rivals, something like that, but he hit him really fucking hard, and then he turtled. It was a 4-minute power play, and it's like, yeah, like, we kind of got it by that. Winning would have been more important, but it's just kind of like, people do that shit. And then Kadari and, the recent playoff game, game 1, is it game 1 where he hit Wingles? Yeah, it was game 1. And, it just happens all the fucking time. Like, I mean, I guess not really much of the Red Sox, but it's kind of just like, people are dirty with us all the time, and no one really says shit. But then it's like the second, like, Brad Marchand or anyone does anything relatively dirty, like Brad Marchand could hit some guy the wrong way and it could be completely justified. Like, it could be like, I couldn't stop it. Like, I was moving too fast. Like, I literally couldn't stop it. Like, yeah, Marchand has some dirty moments, but not everything is dirty. But, like, what I'm saying is, the point is, it's just like, anytime something like that happens with us, it's like, oh, fucking Boston, dude, fucking dirty ass Boston teams. But it's like, why does no one give a shit when it's the other teams doing it? Like, you go into the Maple Leafs subreddit, or you talk to a Maple Leafs fan, and it's just like, Kadari was only doing that because Wingles had raised his elbow. It's like, you're literally going to risk giving someone a concussion by slamming their fucking head into a fucking glass. Like, are you fucking what? How does that make sense? He opened his door and hit my car window, so I hit him with my fucking car. Sorry, guys. That's why he's paralyzed now from below his chest. Sorry, guys. Like, I don't understand the logic in that. I really don't. So that's what I want to say in that, because that does frustrate me. And, it does, going into the Super Bowl, because like this is something that really frustrates me. And we'll talk about the Super Bowl now. Is I had a lot of my friends are fans of different teams, and we all had the Super Bowl party in my house this year, and we had a really good time. But it was a really good time. Win or lose, I think that was a pretty exciting Super Bowl. I remember when there was that Corey Clement touchdown, and they were reviewing it. I said, I kind of hope that they don't take this back, because if we win off this, all we're going to hear is, the Patriots only won because they cheated on that play. The Patriots only did this. And that is something that drives me crazy to no end. Why is it that Tom Brady will do something, incredible, like throw for 500 yards in the Super Bowl, let's just say he had a regular game, and it's for somehow he threw 600 yards, right? Okay. And it's like, Tom Brady at 41 years old throws for 600 yards against this. And it's just kind of like, oh, well, he only did that because he has Rob Gronkowski, and he has this offensive line. He has this offensive. It's like, why can't people just respect his accomplishments? And that's really frustrating for me. I mean, you can use it against like any argument of any athlete, like, oh yeah, like Michael Jordan did this. Like, yeah, Michael Jordan also had Scottie Pippen. Michael Jordan had a lot of really good teammates as well, but it's like, no, Michael Jordan's a GOAT. Michael Jordan did this. And it's like, why is that not arguable, but trying to argue with Brady that is as well? Like, I don't understand that. That has always bothered me. But I'm getting really off topic here. And by the way, which for the record, I do think the Corey Clement touchdown was not a touchdown. I do not think that was a catch. I've rewatched the footage. I've looked at the videos. I've seen what Al Riveren said on NFL Network, which goes into a lot of this. I have a coworker who was a 49ers fan, And she has told me constantly, she's like, it wasn't rigged, but like she literally sent me a video from NFL memes on how the AFC championship game was rigged. Which, by the way, if I'm gonna be doing a podcast discussion with my friend who's a Dolphins fan about all that, so I'm really gonna get into more of that later. I do want to touch on the Jimmy Garoppolo trade towards the end of this as well. I'm getting really off topic, but it's kind of like there were a lot of really bullshit calls in that Super Bowl, and I don't think there were really any that. After rewatching highlights or anything, there weren't really many calls that really benefited us. But I'm going to say what Colin Cowherd said, which I don't really like Colin Cowherd, so please don't crucify me for that. But Colin Cowherd hit the nail right on the head when he said that if Gronk had bobbled that ball or had catch the ball the same way that Ertz had, there would literally be riots. People would be like, the NFL's fucking rigged. Like, oh, man, I'm burning my season tickets. Oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like, the Patriots always get lucky. The Patriots always do this. And it's just kind of like, no, we don't. You heard of Deflategate? You heard of the thing that a middle school class disproved? Yeah, sorry. We don't always get lucky. You know about Spygate, where we filmed from a legal location, even though filming was completely legal in the NFL, it just mattered on the location, but we still get crucified for that? Yeah, we don't always get lucky. The tuck rule that somehow is our fault, even though we don't write the rule book. Yeah, sorry. We always get really lucky. We always get the good calls. We don't. Side note. We really don't. And I get it, refs are humans kind of thing, but it's kind of like it really sucks when it costs on the biggest fucking game of the planet, ruling on the fly. Oh my God, that shit drives me fucking crazy. And I really don't want to talk about that too often. But that's all I want to say about the Super Bowl before I get too worked up about it, because I am going to be making a whole podcast just on the whole Super Bowl controversy and all the other stuff that happened in the season that was controversy. But, the Super Bowl was a really low light for our defense. And I think our defense's exposure finally showed. Like, Kyle Van Noy is a stud. I really think he is, but we just don't have, and we didn't have, sorry, my voice cracked there. We didn't have enough pass pressure. Pass press. That's what I said. We didn't have enough, pressure on the quarterback. We really didn't. I don't think we had one sack that entire game. And that's to be said. I mean, there are moments where we could have. There was a play in there that reminded me a little bit of the Eli Manning, David Tyree helmet catch. I know, please excuse me for bringing that up. Do not crucify me. But, and that was really frustrating. That truly was a really frustrating moment in not watching us. It's like when James Harrison, who is 38 or 39 years old, is highlightable for our defense, that there's an issue. The Steelers defense, which is dog shit that we practically shit on every year, cut him. There's probably a reason to. You know what I mean? Did he have some highlights for us? Yes, of course he did. But wasn't it against the Bills and Jets? We didn't need him to beat those teams. But some linebacker depth really wasn't that bad. James Harrison, Patriots legend. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to your retirement and many successful years, James Harrison. I did like you better when you were in a Patriots uniform, though. So, with that said, all season, our defense was showing low lights. There were times where our defense was allowing 3 or maybe 1 touchdown a game, and I was like, hey, maybe we finally got our shit together. But it goes into where it's like Josh McCown put up 200 or 300 yards on us. Quarterbacks that should not have come into Gillette as comfortable as they were as comfortable. And they did throw these certain yards. They did have these certain plays to where, realistically, how the fuck was our defense showing that? And I remember sitting there, and I said this to my mom on one of our rides to work one day. I said, Mom, I think if we're going to lose the Super Bowl this year, we're not going to make it to the Super Bowl this year. It's going to be on our defense. And, realistically, I was looking at that AFC Championship game, and I was like, man, we can't stop Blake fucking Bortles. And now it's one thing if they had Allen Robinson in that game. If they had Allen Robinson in that game, I would have been think our odds would have been a lot lower. Regardless, we did have Tom fucking Goat Patrick Brady. Goat trick. Why not? We did have that. But, my God, dude. My God. Leonard Fournette is good too on offense, but come on. I thought that's where we were going to lose, to be completely honest. I really did. I thought we were going to lose the NFC Championship. I'm happy we didn't. The Super Bowl was fun. It was fun. I still wear my Super Bowl 52 jersey. I still am buying my girlfriend and my mother a Super Bowl 52 Gronkowski jersey, each of them. I'm still happy we made it there. My 40-year-old quarterback, who was the NFL MVP, made it there. And that was really good. And was it a shitty end to the season? Yeah, of course it was. I think about it all the time. I think about how bullshit some of those calls were. I think about how stupid fucking Philly fans are. I hate Philly fans. Excuse me. I really do. I can't stand. I mean, obviously, I'm not generalizing. Obviously, there's some good Philly fans. But if you genuinely, not just to, stir shit, if you genuinely think that, like, Nick Foles is better than Tom Brady, you're fucking stupid. Like, you are. And I mean, no one genuinely believes that, but people are like, Nick Foles outplayed Brady in that Super Bowl, bro. It's like, hey, sorry to, point holes in this, but your defense that lost a lot of fucking players this offseason, they actually allowed more yards than our defense that was complete dog shit that entire game did, for the record. So shut the fuck up. Shut up. That's that. So to close this off, is I really do want to save more of that content for now, and I know I did kind of yammer about the season. I talked about kind of the bigger points in this topic that I really did want to talk about. I want to talk quickly about the Jimmy Garoppolo trade, what I think about it, and all this talk about Brady being mad about Belichick and all this stupid bullshit. So Belichick trading Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo reminds me a lot of Avery Bradley from the Boston Celtics, and not in his play style or anything like that, but he, like we could have kept him this extra year, and he probably would have been some good depth at his position that he was. But here's the reality of it: is next year Avery Bradley is probably going to walk or go somewhere else with free agency. And I'm sorry, I'm looking at my eBay right now. It took me a second. I kind of lost my train of thought. I'm bidding on a Julian Edelman Super Bowl 49 jersey, and I've been bidding on it for about over a week now. I had it watched, so it's about 23 minutes left until it's done. When I post this, I'll put in the description if I win it or not, but I'd really like to add that to my collection, which, by the way, I will probably make a jersey collection video soon, probably after my next few jerseys come in. I've got a David Krejci jersey coming in soon. I got a Patrice Bergeron jersey coming in soon. Hopefully, if I win this bid, it's a really nice Patrice Bergeron jersey. It's the Winter Classic one. And obviously this Edelman one comes in there, but I did order my David Krejci one, so I'm really excited about that. I need a Jaylen Brown jersey now too, and an Andrew Benintendi. I always pronounce his name wrong, but I'd really like an Yankee Killer jersey. So with that said, Avery Bradley it's kind of like we could have overpaid him, and it only reminds me in this, and obviously like we weren't gonna have to pay Jimmy Garoppolo next season. It wouldn't have made any sense. Obviously Brady is still set on playing, as he stated. He wants to have his contract restructured. And personally, what I think about that, I think Brady is going to take less money to keep Gronk around, because Brady has said, Gronk is someone who he will do anything to keep him happy. And I think there's a chance that Brady will take less money as he does. Because, I think Brady understands that while he still, in my opinion, is the greatest quarterback in the league, I think he is, without a doubt, that he understands that he's a liability with his age and that the team is going to need to move on from him soon. I think he does completely understand that. So I think he will take a slight of a pay cut. And, with that said, he'll say, kind of like, give more money to give me talent, to keep Gronk around. Because, like, obviously Gronk is such a big factor and game changer. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, Gronk is fucking incredible. Gronk's a beast. Yeah, so I'll do a room tour too, because I was just thinking about mentioning my signed Gronkowski jersey. So, I'll do a room tour of all my Patriots stuff too, because I got a lot of Pat stuff and Bruins stuff and etc. Not as much Bruins stuff, actually, more Celtics stuff. But, I got to get a David Pastrnak signed stuff. But, so it's kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo had 1 year left on his contract, and he was in it. And it was kind of like, are we going to keep someone to sit around and literally, ride the bench for Brady, as Brady is still playing at this, literally, he played at an MVP caliber, as he clearly wanted, level? No. The answer is no. If you think that we are going to overpay a backup quarterback, that we could draft another one and pay a minimum, rookie contract minimum for the next season, no. Do I think that if you actually believe that Belichick did it out of spite for Kraft or anything like that, you're a fucking idiot. He clearly didn't. There's more than enough evidence of. I know that some people come into our sub and they say stuff like, they post this video like, did Belichick throw Super Bowl 52? Did a coach who spends his entire time making his team literally so strict so that they can win, who does have 7 Super Bowl rings, 2 from being with the Giants and 5 with us, obviously. Someone who has 7 Super Bowl rings is going to throw a Super Bowl to prove a point? No. Why would he spend his time and effort to get there? Why wouldn't he just be mad? I don't buy any of that. So as quickly as I just want to say that Jimmy Garoppolo being traded for a second rounder was all we could do. Any team had leverage over us, as clearly stated. What are we going to do? Oh yeah, you can't have him now, but at the end of the season when he doesn't have a contract with us and he clearly doesn't want to stay with us because he wants to start with another team, then we'll make a deal with him. He's gone. He wasn't going to be ours. Like, we had to take him for the best we could get, and this late second rounder, which is what it became, was a pretty good option for trading someone who was going to leave anyways in free agency. You know, and obviously that's arguable. But it's like, obviously you're not going to trade everyone in that situation. Like, you're not going to be like, oh, well, Deion Lewis only has one where you'd love to trade him. Like, no, but he's still useful. You know, Deion Lewis isn't just riding the bench. You know, Deion Lewis is actually, you know, playing, and he's getting touchdowns, he's getting yards. But by the way, I miss Deion Lewis. I have his Super Bowl 51 jersey. Have fun, Tennessee, buddy. Anyways, that's sad. You know, that's all I got to say about Jimmy Garoppolo. I think we did the best we could for him, and I hope him the best in San Francisco. Hopefully not too much of the best, though. People are saying that he reminds me of Joe Montana. Too bad, bud. You still have the salary cap to pay for, to play with, unlike Joe Montana did. So that's all I got to say for this video. I'm sorry that I did kind of ramble on and on and on. This is my first solo podcast on the Patriots. So please, if you want to give me any constructive criticism, the Patriots subreddit, thank you guys so much. You've been so welcoming. It's such an informative subreddit. If any of you would like to hop on here and join me as a guest in my podcast, I'd be more than happy to have you guys around here. Go Pats, fuck the Jets, fuck the Canadians, fuck the Lakers, and fuck the Yankees. Let's go Boston, baby. Let's get it. I am going to enjoy the Bruins game tonight, and I welcome any of you to join it as well. Come to the Bruins subreddit and have some fun with us tonight. You know, let's go Sox. Let's beat the fucking Athletics tonight. I actually debated going to that game tonight. I'm in Southern California, but from New Bedford. I'm from New Bedford. I promise. But you know, anyways. Let me know if there's anything else I can fix in my video, as well as our podcasts are, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, are going to be worked on. We're going to be working a lot of that. Send your best wishes to Ben on our Twitter if you feel like it. We are going to be working on shirts soon that we're going to be wearing on the video. We're not necessarily selling them, but we are looking for guests for a podcast. So if you have any interest in it, our email is in our channel, so please do that, or DM us on Twitter. We're looking forward to anybody. Just let us know what you want to talk about first, and we'll discuss it when maybe a relevant time to come on the podcast would be. But yes, please contact us. Let us know how this podcast is. Any review helps. Any, you know, comment or talking, like, or anything, subscription, it really does help us. Yeah, or maybe if you want to play Madden for these videos with me on them as well. This is Madden 17, as I do like to draft champions a little bit better on Madden 17. So add me on Xbox Live maybe if you want to. My name is Hydro Amethyst. It is in our channel description as well. Play some Madden with me, or maybe play some 2K or NHL. So this is a really long outro. I hope you enjoyed it. To the next season, we're on to the preseason, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Go Pats.